Well, thank you very much in the chat. I have been talking, and I have completely lost all of that as we now start the race. I will quickly say it is the AequepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. This is round 7, the final round of Season 3, Stint 2, as we go green. Beetlejuice off the line. Not green, it's the rolling start being activated. So thank you very much to the YouTube chat letting us know. I was saying you have direct conversations, you can ask questions and I'll try to answer them, but staying on topic long enough to do so might be the issue. The news for this round is that the SBM car with Extelen unable to make the start of this race, meaning that there is no Speedbots car in this race. The Speedbot boys have been incredibly quick the entire time, so the race at the front is wide open for Beetlejuice of the Scuderia Stile Umili team. It's there for AXR Joker for AquepaX Racing. It's there for Jaylee and the Racing Team Finlanders car. It's an option for Evil Dragon, for Full Throttle Racing, FTR, to try and steal the win, as we see Joker right on the back of Beetlejuice into the hairpin. Beetlejuice blocks and is able to stay ahead into the tight third sector. We also have, quickly, just Groot. AXR Groot, he's been running the series, he's done a great job. Thank you very much, Groot. A last-minute entry of THE, with now THE -1 and MMR Luke Mitchell. But we'll cut back to the leaders here as Joker is already looking to pressure Beetlejuice into a mistake and potentially take the lead. Beetlejuice on the narrow line, Joker will get the better run, and there you see it. Beetlejuice not getting the power down, not getting it rotated. AXR Joker able to pull out already, and they will be side by side down the majority of the straight. What can Jaylee do? Can he arrive with a slipstream and make it 3 wide into turn 1? Because Joker will stall out. He hasn't got the straight line, but he has way more rotation. It'll be side by side. He should be able to hang on. No, he doesn't do that. And now tucks back in behind Beetlejuice, who goes deep at 1, but it's not enough to cost him the position just yet. So we can already see that the Stossi car is slightly quicker in a straight line than the AXR car, but the AXR car looking far more comfortable through the twisty bits, and Jaylee staying right with both of them. So the battle for the lead is currently hotter than it's been for a while, with the SBM boys normally buggering off into the distance very early on, starting from pole and winning just about everything. But of course, strategy is a 90-minute stint here for a 3-hour race from Fuji. And the race will not be won and lost in the first lap. It can only ever be lost. It can never really be won. And that's before things like tyre wear and fuel consumption all come into play. But for now, we're just fighting for track position, trying to get clean air, because clean air helps with both of those things. It means you can choose your line, you can run your pace, your fuel and tyre consumption is your own, as opposed to you're being stuck at the pace of the guy in front and burning the amount of fuel you happen to burn. You ideally want to be able to choose how aggressively you use your tyres and fuel and not be stuck in a train. But Beetlejuice getting a much better run off the final corner, and he's still losing ground in the slipstream, but it's a 4/10 lead, and we'll see how much that comes down with their slightly disparate top speeds, despite being in the same Mercedes AMG. At the back there, I think you see THE -1 is well out the back, so he's made a mistake. It was down to 3/10. Wow, 2/10 is literally bumper to bumper at that speed, so if Joker can probably get on the straight about 3/10 back, he will then get into overlapping position, be able to make the move with the overspeed of a slipstream. It was because he had to pull out so early on the first attempt there that he wasn't actually able to stay alongside, because it was a full-on drag race. There was no longer a slipstream effect because Beetlejuice had such a bad run. Had he got a slightly better run by a 10th or 2, it would have been a lot worse for him. You can see that Joker again getting a great run through the hairpin after the 100R sweeper, and unable, and again on the straight line, to get alongside. He might have to do something silly if this continues for too long to try and force a mistake and get himself up the inside. But for now, it is Beetlejuice for the Stile Umili team, leading AXR Joker for AequepaX Racing, and Jaylee for Racing Team Finlanders. looking the most threatening right now. That car has been incredibly good on its tyres all season. They've got the fuel range to go with it. They were doing incredible long stints compared to their rivals. We were seeing sub 30-minute stints for some cars, and they were achieving incredible 45-minute stints. It was just about twice as far as some of their opponents. But I think today it will be a lot more aggressive on the tyres with the long sweeping corners in Sector 2, as well as the incredibly tight and twisty Sector 3. And in the background, Evil Dragon with a penalty, losing ground to AXR Groot. Groot up to 4th. He'll be very happy with that. And MMR Luke Mitchell hanging on. He's saying he might not be able to make the finish, but if we go fast, hopefully we can get there sooner. Of course, it's a timed race, 90 minutes long. And Manos with the fastest lap, a 38.0, so he's fallen off on lap 2 there, and ended up now with the quickest time. 3 tenths up on the leaders with Beetlejuice at 38.3, Joker 38.3, and Jaylee 38.252. And they're all going to hit similar lap times because they are all on top of each other, but they're all not quite quick enough to get past each other. So even if Joker does clear Beetlejuice, I don't know to what degree he will be able to pull away. And Jaylee sort of zones in every other lap and then loses it again, and then it's a little couple tenth swing here and there. So it's not like he's comfortably quicker than the guys in front, because even with that dirty air, of course, it's going to slow you down. But he's not staying a consistent distance. He's coming forward, going backwards. So they're all relatively evenly matched. Otherwise, you would see Joker constantly over the back of Beetlejuice, or Jaylee all over the back of Joker. I've already started to see that the wear on that left side is pretty aggressive for Joker. Not as bad for Beetlejuice, and definitely not as bad for Jaylee. So Joker working his tyres the hardest. Of course, we have 3 times tyre wear and 2 times fuel wear, but we have 10 litres per second refueling. Joker, though, this time closing. He's got a good run with the slipstream, but is the straight going to be long enough? Not quite. No heroics there from Joker. Again, just feet from the back of Beetlejuice. Fractions of a metre. Centimetres would be too many to say, but it's tight stuff and it's good, consistent, clean racing. We haven't seen anything silly from Joker. He's waiting for his opportunity, and it looks like might try it there at 100R, because he looked like he had such a better run through the first half. That 4/10 gap coming down to 2 on that narrower line compared to Beetlejuice, and Jaylee falling back there to about 7/10. So, he's got a better exit. Okay, never mind. It's fine. I was worried there that he'd fallen off, and this race was going to go to the AMGs. And it appears not. He's back in there, using his car differently to the AMGs in front, which you would expect to see. And Groot now with a 2-second lead over Evil Dragon, who has lost a bit of ground on this lap, I think, because there's nothing wrong with that lap time after he was passed with the penalty. A little half-second penalty, I believe, is a small track limit infraction. Luke Mitchell still only 2 seconds down. Manos doing low 38s, but we see Joker has now done a 37.9 because Beetlejuice has done a 37.9. And behind them, Jaylee's only done a 38.3, so is the maximum pace of the Supra not as fast as the AMGs? Do they have what it takes? It's a 38.1, it's a 38.3 for Joker, he's lost a couple of tenths, but it's a 37.9 for Jaylee. So we have 9.08, 9.30 and 9.70 for the 3 fastest laps from the 3 front runners. And of course Manos back in 8th there with a 38.013 to go with his 38.069. So there's a 10th covering all 4 of them. And I suspect had Manos had a little bit more practice and a higher grid spot, he would be sitting right on top of these 3 drivers to make it a 4-way fight. So don't discount Manos just yet. Although he is currently 7th and a long way back, he is on the pace of these leaders. We see Joker getting the switchback crossover, over and under, and is able to get alongside Beetlejuice, but unfortunately that puts him on the outside here for the F chicane. And he lifts out to make sure that he does not fight that one and lose time. Beetlejuice hits the apex, is unable to get, stops the over-under from Joker. They sort of continue to run nose to tail. It's lap 6. We've done this for 6 laps. We've already done it for 10 minutes. and the tyre wear is starting to build up. We're going to see more, I would suspect, attempts at overtaking as the tyres degrade. It just makes sitting on your preferred line a little bit harder, which makes mistakes a little bit easier, and that will give people an opportunity, as we see Beetlejuice with a little squirrel out of the last corner, and it's cost him big time. There's a huge advantage to Joker now down this straight, and with the slipstream he'll get a lot closer. It was 4/10 he was able to survive, but now it's 2/10. I suspect Joker will be able to get alongside and make a move. It's coming down, it's coming down, it's down under 2/10, it's 1/10. Surely Joker can pull out and make a move. No, it's not fast enough in a straight line. The Stosilla Umili car hangs on. Beetlejuice with just enough straight line to hang on, but not enough rear tyre grip to get onto the corner, get out of the corner cleanly and onto the straight. So it's starting to get tense. Still over 80 minutes, an hour and 20 to go. But a long way to go. And Beetlejuice here starting to use more of the road on the exit of 100R. You'd say he's starting to run out of front tyre more than, say, rear tyre. And that's what's like giving the opportunity to Joker to get back across and make a move. But Joker just not enough straight line speed to execute it when he's there. Oh, but here we go. Oh, wow, okay, I thought he had enough straight line to potentially pop it up the inside, but Beetlejuice blocks to the inside, and Joker remains looking at the back of that AMG bumper. Unless he's a chase cam runner, he'll be learning a lot about that bumper that he's been driving all season, because he hasn't been able to see one of those all season, another AMG bumper. But if he was a chase cam runner like Philo, he wouldn't be able to see the bumper. He's that close. His car would be obstructing the Stosilla car in front of him. And we see another run. Joker again, a better run onto the straight, and he's closer this time. Which means he should get a better slipstream, but it might be so early that he actually pulls out and is unable to make the move. We'll go on board with him. He does have to pull out. Does he have the overspeed? It's fully alongside. He's going to get this one done. There's not much Beetlejuice can do, even though he's quicker in a straight line, because Joker has that inside line, and trying to go around the outside generally does not pay off. And he is able to take the lead, and Beetlejuice now slots into second. But if Beetlejuice can get off the hairpin after 100R here, he has a chance. But we'll see through Coca-Cola. Yes, it looks like Joker with a lot more rotation available to him. He's now got a 4/10 lead through 100R. Joker has to break the back of the guys behind immediately if he wants to try and get away from a threat in a straight line. We can see that Jaylee is starting to try and line up Beetlejuice, but at 7/10, there's almost no slipstream. He's broken the slipstream before the straights, before Sector 3 and the 1.5 kilometre straight here at Fuji Speedway, at the base of Mount Fuji. Have a nice clear afternoon here, which is a rarity at Fuji itself, because anytime a tourist arrives, it tries to cloud over and it stops you being able to get a perfect photo. I've had a few friends go to Japan, and all of them have taken photos of a very cloudy, murky Mount Fuji, bar one, who happened to be taking a tourist flight and was able to get a clear sky. So very lucky for that one. But we see Jaylee now taking a wider entry to get a cleaner exit, and he will have a great run off the final corner to try and make an attack on Beetlejuice. But Beetlejuice is still within slipstream range of Joker, and he's now running him down. But I don't think it matters. Beetlejuice not quite quick enough, even with the slipstream, because the car behind him has a bigger slipstream. However, when Jaylee pulls out, will he be able to stay there? Yes, he does. And that will put Jaylee up into position 2, and Beetlejuice will slide back to P3. The straight line speed not doing enough, but Jaylee has a wobble on the exit curb and is now side by side up into Coca-Cola and tucks in behind. So good driving from those two, but unfortunate for Jaylee, he had to get through and get on after Joker to try and run him down, but not quite able to do so, with a little mistake on the exit costing him the opportunity. He's going to have to do it all over again on Beetlejuice. However, Beetlejuice is now a second down on Joker and won't get any slipstream on this straight, but he might be able to stay close enough to get slipstream on the front straight. Yes, the tyre wear on this AMG is definitely front biased. They're getting a little more understeer as this stint goes on, and that's why he was not able to keep up the pace, whereas Joker has more rear wear, which is allowing him to rotate the car better, even if it's not letting him put the power down as well. There's so much time spent turning compared to getting off the corner here. It's helping Joker immensely. Oh, we see a little squirrel there, locking the rears in the braking zone, and that means that Beetlejuice is able to get back under 7/10, and that slipstream might just be enough to keep him away from Jaylee, because Jaylee now 4/10 back, 5/10 back, but Jaylee will get the better exit. And it's a little squirrel there from Joker, and Beetlejuice will get him with the slipstream and his top speed advantage. That gap is going to come down, and Beetlejuice should be able to make an attack for the lead. It's down to 1/10. He pulls out. It's side by side, and Beetlejuice is now going back to the lead. Joker was able to break the slipstream, but then one mistake, two mistakes, and he's back into second place. The fight is resumed. Jaylee's mistake is no longer punishing him for the fight against Joker. It just means he's not winning the fight against Joker, but they're all back in the pack. In the background, I've completely missed Manos picking his way through MMR Luke Mitchell and Evil Dragon for FTR. We'll check in on his pace in a moment, but the leaders now through 100R down into the hairpin, which I think was Panasonic long ago. I don't know if it's been renamed, but last time I checked it was Panasonic, that hairpin. I am old, so it could have not been that name since about 2007. I wouldn't know. Anyway, Beetlejuice with a 3/10 lead coming into the final sector here. This is where Joker has been better of the two. However, with that rear tyre wear, I wonder if it's just starting to hurt him getting off these corners. As opposed to the understeer. Never mind, the understeer of Beetlejuice showing up immediately on call. And he misses the apex, unable to get it turned the way he wants. But not really losing much to the guys around him. And it feels like Jaylee's even dropped off the back of Joker. So, very odd. But then again, Joker does have dirty air compared to Beetlejuice, and Jaylee does have dirty air compared to Joker. So we're going on the straight, and it's nearly 7/10 back for Joker. He will get slipstream and be able to just inch his way back in, and that will help protect him from Jaylee. But geez, that could have been a lot worse for him, and he could have been a lot better as well. So didn't get out of that last part of the final sector at all well. But he's able to stave off Jaylee for another lap. Joker's going to have to find something here if he wants to try and win this one. But right now, it's looking very good for the Scuderia Stossi Umili team, as they now have just about broken slipstream over Joker, who almost had broken slipstream all of 3 laps ago. But we've gone from his strength on the straight to 100R, where Joker makes back a couple tenths. But it'll be another straight, and then it'll be the final sector. So the gap is ebbing and flowing based on the way these guys got these cars set up, and the way they're driving them. And any mistake they make is costing time. And it's drastically changing the way that the gaps are being shown, as we see the sun really starting to set here. Of course, this is the afternoon stint. Oh, Joker with another wobble out of the chicane there. That'll let Jaylee up the inside into the right-hander of the 3 consecutively long and awful corners that everyone hates unless you're the fastest through them. And that slides Joker back to 3rd. However, he's staying very close to Jaylee. If he can get off here with a good run, he will be able to slipstream and attack back on Jaylee, because Jaylee will not have a slipstream. He will have no additional support, and he does get a better run off the final corner, and he has a slipstream. He's able to just inch his way back up towards Jaylee, a couple thousandths at a time. He will be able to pull out. Will he be able to stay there? The gap is coming down, down, down. He does pull out, and he does get overlap. Just enough to be able to claim that one. He breaks a fraction later, gets down to the apex. Jaylee will not be able to over and under him. And it will be... Oh no, but Joker runs slightly wide, gets on that outside curbing, bobbles him, and Jaylee's able to get back. Never mind, I thought Jaylee was going to struggle to try and get past him cleanly, but of course Joker slightly wide on the exit, and that's all it took. And that has confirmed that Jaylee is now ahead of the AequepaX racing car. However, the tyre wear on that Supra is awful. The front tyres are all but gone. The rears are in great nick, but the fronts are toast. That's incredible. That car has been so good all year. all year, all season, on its tyres in these races. They've been able to do stints no one else could dream of. So it's real. This is not, oh, they've just been looking after the tyres. They've got more strategy in them. This race on track for position is real. The 1.4 second lead for Beetlejuice is a 1.4 second lead over his nearest rivals, and I don't see strategy making too big of a difference between here and the end at 90 minutes. They've got to get to 22 and a half minutes to make it a 4-stint race, 3 stops, which is still 2 laps away from here. So the tyres are coming down. They're going to need to do something very special, because to get from 22 and a half minutes to 30 is what's required to cut a pit stop out. So Jaley's going to need to do something very impressive if he wants to cut a pit stop. You can see the background AXR group. He is not far behind them. He's been doing lovely low 39s the entire time. I think he's actually been gaining on the leaders while they've been fighting each other the last couple of laps. Beetlejuice now to 1.6 seconds. Could this be, I believe, the first win this season for the Stossi Umili team? Excuse me. As Jaley now has broken the back of Joker, so Joker's tyre wear, it's more even, and somehow that extra rotation is not helping him, because he's not been able to get off these corners particularly well with the left sort of referee degradation he's got going. All their fronts are very similar. It's just a different degree of rear. You'd say that Beetlejuice has you'd say Joker has the best balance, but because of how low that left rear is, he's got not as much drive as Beetlejuice and Jaley probably has the least rear wear, which is giving him the most understeer. As we see Evil Dragon into the pits, not for fuel, not for damage, it's because he's got no front tyres left after 20 minutes, so he will do 4.5 stints. He's going to have to find a way to find 1 lap on the strategy if he wants to get there on 3 pit stops, 2 more from now. So, a bit of work to do there for the FTR car. They've been aggressive on tyres the whole season. Check in with Luke Mitchell. He's got a lot of tyre. Oh, but it's the rears. The rears are gone. The fronts are fantastic. He could go half an hour on the fronts, but maybe not on the rears. And THG Manos 1, now only 4.6 seconds behind Groot. 17 seconds still off the lead. He's been doing 38s until that last lap, so maybe the tyre wear just starting to hurt him. He needs to go 1 more lap. And we see Joker. Joker is in. So an undercut potentially from Joker. Maybe banking on the fact that the pit stop times will result in them getting to the 22.5 minute mark, or he will plan to do a longer stint later on when the temperature is just a little bit cooler, potentially, as this stint will get cooler and cooler and cooler as it goes. We see him take a touch of fuel there, which suggests that he's going longer in this next stint. So maybe it's not 14 laps every stint. It might be you only need to do 14 once or twice, maybe 3 out of the 4 times. And that's how Joker's going to get to the end. He's taking the short stint now while the temperatures are hottest, the tyres are most worn, the car was heavy with fuel. And now we'll see guys doing stints on half fuel. And the tyre wear won't be as bad, so expect Joker to come out closer to the front, because of course these guys will have to take fuel as they've gone just a little bit further, meaning they most certainly will need fuel if they plan to do another 14 lap stint. As Beetlejuice is still hanging on there, 1.8 seconds in the lead. He's starting to carve out an advantage. And that front left is all but gone. He'd probably get another lap out of it, and the left rear hanging on for him. It'd be really nice for Jaley if they could double stack their tyre guys in order to make it work, but they stay out. Okay. I didn't have that one on my bingo card. They've stayed out with very little tyres, both of them. I don't know how they plan to get to the half an hour mark, unless they just want to shorten the remaining stints, but I don't understand why you do that, to be quite honest. So I would expect Joker to come out in the lead after this one. Manos also not stopping. Groot not stopping. And Mitchell definitely not stopping. So there are 2 schools of thought pitting before the 1/4 race distance mark, and just ignoring the 1/4 distance mark and continuing to drive until a point in the future that I'm not aware of. However, Beetlejuice still pulling away from Jaley. Jaley's front left, thank you, is really struggling, and the gap is now at 2.5 seconds, 2.4 seconds there. This is a Finland fight, but I don't know how they're going to try and make this one work with the strategy they are on. They need to either get on the optimal tyre wear strategy, or they need to figure out how to be quicker on these tyres. Quicker for the tyre wear, or even, third option, have less tyre wear. Being in clean air for the entire stint might help with that, as opposed to being stuck under the wing of an Mercedes AMG GT3 car. Might give you a bit more front grip and a little bit less front wear. Very little front tyre left now for Beetlejuice. Does he come to the lane, or does he stay out for another lap? It looks like he's staying out for another lap, because you will be penalised if you cross the white lines. Groot has spun, I think, because, yeah, he's got front damage. That's front damage only, and I would put money on that is a front bumper bar and a patented Groot 90-degree spin, because THG Manos 1 has snuck up into third place, as Joker is now pursuing him, having made his pit stop. Surely Groot comes in this lap. And he does, because that front aero damage will make his tiny sliver of tyre remaining much worse. How does he get through the chicane here? Does alright. Easily done. You can get that chicane wrong, especially on worn tyres, and crossing the line will get you a 3-second penalty. But if you're really unlucky, you touch the bollard and it does some weird things and sends you into the fence, you can actually arrive in the pit lane backwards, and that will reset you onto the pit straight, and you have to drive around another lap if you want to actually take service. So Manos was 17 seconds when we checked in last. It's now 18.6 off the lead, so he's losing ground to the leaders, but not by too much, but more than he would have liked, especially with that early mistake, as Beetlejuice now still only 2.5 seconds. I thought he was gaining there on Jaylee, but Jaylee's just fighting back. They've both got a sliver of tyre left, and I think now it's the point where the understeer from Jaylee's rear tyre grip is not hurting him so much as having more tyre grip is letting him get on the throttle far more aggressively. And with the degradation here being so aggressive left to right, you have to be able to remember to drive the right-handers more aggressive, sorry, the right-hand side loaded, which is the left-handers. Those exits, you have to drive them far more aggressively. All right, Beetlejuice continues, but Jaylee is in. And that one probably looked a bit laggy, because there's no way he took those lines. You can't turn it back that aggressively. Anyway, we'll see. What does Manos 1 do? The jokes I was making that I think were cut off by me having a muted microphone, because I'm very, very clever, was THG Manos was, of course, the available around with the THG squad in the first 24-hour AequepaX Endurance charity race. And they also competed in Season 1 of the World Endurance Championship, and with our Stint 1 commentator, won that championship. So the most fearsome driver on the THG lineup. Rumour has it he landed in Roswell, New Mexico, somewhere in the previous millennia. Maybe just some fanfare, and has been hiding out in Greece ever since. No confirmation of that. He will neither confirm nor deny that story, for obvious reasons. Because if he was first sighted in Roswell, New Mexico, I can see why you wouldn't want anyone, especially the Americans, noticing. Anyway, Joker now catching the back of Manos. He's got no front tyre left. Beetlejuice has got no front tyre left as well. We will have to see what he does. Does he try and just hang on out to a half-hour stint and deal with the fact that the tyre is missing and he's slower, but it's not that much slower. They're doing 38 zeros, and he's now doing 39.7. That's 2 seconds down. He's going to have to go at least one more lap if he wants to make this half-hour strategy work. But no, he comes to the lane. He's not going to be able to get half an hour on this stint. He is a lap short. And Joker with a 37.8. He's got fastest laps now. And Manos pulls to the inside. He will join the leader. And now 20 seconds down in pit lane. So some interesting strategy choices here. So Joker needs to find a lap, and the other guys have got laps to spare. So as expected, Jaylee is 7 seconds behind Joker with that difference in strategy. And where does Beetlejuice come out? It's got to be close. It's side by side into one. Jaylee on the outside, but Beetlejuice able to just hang on. So that 2.4 second lead, it's gone. It's 2/10 now. But Beetlejuice will have one lap fresher tyres, so the undercut not quite working there for Jaylee. But it shows you how much time was being lost while they were out there on those worn tyres. Jaley now getting up around the outside into 100R with a great run through Coca-Cola. Can he hang on? Car, please, camera. And he does hang on around the outside. That gives him the inside for Panasonic, but Beetlejuice flies around the outside. Jelly, though, gets the better exit, and it's again side by side. No! Beetlejuice, better exit, and Jaley is unable to stay with him. He's going to have to fight harder than that if he wants to try and get ahead and pull away. Jelly definitely quicker in the first 5, 6, maybe 8 laps of the first stint, and then they will have to play the degradation game. So if Jaley can get by early, he might be able to pull away, and that fresh air on the nose might just give him enough tyre wear to beat Beetlejuice here to the fight to the finish. But they are 7.7 seconds behind Joker. Joker now clean air, 8 seconds down. 8 seconds ahead, sorry. He's got clean air, he's got the advantage, and Beetlejuice runs wide. Jaley slides up the inside in the final corner, gets it turned back, gets on throttle. However, Beetlejuice will have a slipstream. Jaley goes straight away to the inside, tries to break the toe. We'll go on board with the roof cam, and we can see that Beetlejuice, straight across into the slipstream, is just inching his way closer, closer, closer. Jaley would need to defend if he wanted to, but Beetlejuice has got way too much speed, is able to go up the inside, and he is unable to quite clear him, so Jaley will set up for the crossover, over and under. And I think Evil Dragon there just disconnected as Jaley gets the over and under. Side by side up to Coca-Cola, and Beetlejuice backs out, leaving the road clear for Jaley as they head now down into Coca-Cola corner. 8.4 seconds off the lead here for Beetlejuice, 7.9 for Jaley. Can he now get himself onto the back of Joker? Joker with a huge 8-second lead from that pit stop sequence. In the fight for fourth, Manos is in fourth place. 9 seconds clear of Groot, 10 seconds clear of Mitchell, who has had another pit stop, I believe. Sorry, had his first pit stop. What am I saying? He has made the half hour. So, MMR Luke Mitchell, the first man to clear the half-hour stint attempt. And now he's got lighter fuel, colder temperatures. He stands a chance of doing it again. He will have one less pit stop than Groot, who I believe will have the same number of pit stops as Manos, as I don't think he can make those stints any shorter. We check back in on Beetlejuice. He is 1 point... Oh, he had a better line through there, but not as good an exit. He's not able to keep up with the raw pace of Jaley, and is losing again to as well as Joker. He's losing as well to Joker. However, this is because even though he has new tyres, he has a heap of fuel in the car. That was at least 85 litres at the stop, and Joker is way, way down with 37 or so litres, looking like, yeah, less than 37.5 because it's halfway between 25 and 50. And now the tyre wear will begin to kick in. So Joker will be quick for the first maybe 10 laps, and then once the tyre wear kicks in, the guys behind will start to run him down and overcome the fact that they are running more fuel. As it looks like they're trying to cut a pit stop out, but I don't know how they're going to do it. So I'll go back to the trackside cameras as the race sort of calms down. But remember, Jaley was degrading the tyres worse than Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice had better degradation management in that first stint, so they can cross back over. And also remember, Jaley will have done one more lap on this tyre set. So one lap doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're only doing 10 or so laps, 10, 12 laps, what did we do? We did 15 on the first, but I think 14 was the 22.5 minutes stint. When you're only doing 14 laps, that's 7% more wear. And when you notice that Jaley was worse on degradation in the first stint, that may play back in towards Beetlejuice's advantage, as he will have better degradation over the stint and better tyres from the outset. So right now you'd expect Jaley to run away, but I would not say for very long before Beetlejuice starts to run him back down. And he started actually, I believe, catching Joker, although it looked like Joker made a mistake because he lost all of that time in a big chunk, and it's a 38.0. So his last few laps have been very impressive. A 37.9 straight out of the pits, 37.8 after that. Just had a new best lap for him. Formerly the fastest lap of the race, and then a small mistake with 38.5, 38.0, 38.3, 38.0. Joker doing what he needs to do to try and stay ahead of the chasing Finns. But on that lap, it's a 1:37.5, fastest lap of the race to Jaley. He takes half a second out of Joker at the front. He takes 9 tenths out of Beetlejuice behind him. They've both got similar amounts of fuel, so Beetlejuice really struggling on that high fuel. The car got better compared to his rivals as the stint went on. The gap down to under 18 seconds between himself and Manos. Manos was 18 when he did pit, so it's been a net gain for the THG squad. He's doing low 38s now, needs to not run that wide, assuming he is doing that for real, and it isn't just a little bit of latency, because you get dirty tyres out there and everything is awful, because the 100R is already completely grip limited on these cars. It's tough to suddenly cop dirty tyres on top of that, and then it ruins you for Panasonic, which just sets your line up wrong, which means your braking point will be wrong down here into the F chicane. It is a rough time all round. And we can see that Groot has lost 10 seconds again somewhere. It doesn't look like a pit stop because his tyres are worn and his fuel is still half, so Groot now only 1 second ahead of Elmar Luke Mitchell, so the fight for 5th place hotting up, which has somewhat ended the fight completely for 4th place, unless Manos makes a mistake, as they are about as far from each other as Manos is to the leader in AXR Joker. Manos has caught Beetlejuice in this lap though, it's 17.5, so can only hope Beetlejuice has set a good lap. It's an 18.3, so that would suggest that Manos is going to do about an 18.0, and Jaylee with a 38.4, he lost time on that lap, made a mistake somewhere, and it's cost him 9/10 to himself, but it's cost him only 1/10 the bloke behind, and not really cost him anything relative to Joker. He's still gained, so not the worst thing, but he needs to be making ground now. You can't have that much more tyre in hand and just sort of hold station with the guy ahead. You need to be making inroads on him while they're on worn tyres and you're on much fresher tyres. You have to try and take huge chunks of time. They let Joker take 2 seconds a lap out of them for 4 laps there, while they were running longer with the undercut from Joker, so they need to be taking back a second a lap here for 8 laps to have made back the time. So losing 9/10 on a lap and then only gaining half a tenth on your opponents is not optimal. 38.0 there for Manos. We'll stay with Jaylee, as we can sort of keep an eye on the gaps in both directions with the display there. And yes, he's just taking a little bit out of Joker here and there, but it doesn't really feel like he's taking big chunks the way I would have expected. So Joker driving well to hang on there, and Beetlejuice now 2.6 down, but again, we have to remember that the degradation, yeah, you can see there's a lot better tyre on the Beetlejuice car, the Scuderia Stasella Umili team. I always have to think about how to pronounce Umili and not get it wrong, but they will come back later in this stint. There is so much more tyre available to that second AMG compared to the Supra, which has been incredible on tyres all season, and it's started to lose its advantage here. So 37.7 for Jaylee. He gains 5/10 on Joker, as Joker now drops below half on that front right, front left. Good lord, it comes towards me and I forget which side is which. So we're in the strategy phase of the race. 37 minutes in, we've cleared 1/3, still 53. Had to second guess myself, 53 minutes left, so under an hour to go. There'll still be at least 2 more pit stops for most of these guys, unless somehow they can get another half hour. I don't know how they're going to do it with the strategy they're on, but potentially it just sets them up to have shorter stints to the end. It means they can run good tyres and fight later on, compared to running the equal tyre length strat that Joker finds himself on. Gap hasn't really changed this lap. It's been 6.8 for a lap now, so either a mistake from Jaylee because I sort of got distracted and I didn't see it, or Joker is putting in a great lap for the tyre condition he's got. So the AXR man has the advantage, because I don't think that these rivals are actually gaining a pit stop on him. Oh, he does take 2/10 in that final corner alone, so a lot of time loss where the front lefts are involved. And it's a 38.1, so it's not a great lap for him, but it's a 38.279 for Joker after a 38.279 for Joker. He's done 2 laps back to back, exactly the same lap time to the 1,000th of a second, and both of them quicker than his lap 21 time. That's consistency. He's driving very, very well, Joker. He is driving a race-winning drive That's the kind of consistency, that's the kind of performance you need on worn tyres to win this race. The gap is down to 6 seconds, but remember, he will pit first. He will then get another helping of that delicious, delicious undercut when he does come in compared to his rivals. So they haven't run him down, and he will then come out on the next pit stop even further ahead when these guys all do cycle through the pits one more time. It's a question of whether or not Jaylee and Beetlejuice can find a way to cut a pit stop out of their races. Jaylee gets a little squirrel there, and it costs him. He was 6.4 behind, and it blew out 2/10, and he takes them back immediately. But that 2/10 is the kind of advantage he needs to be taking in those opportunities where the front left is loaded up, because he has more grip and he needs to be using it. That gap is too large right now. He needs to get it down to more like 3 seconds very soon before Joker comes in for his stop. 6.4, well, it's only been a 10th this lap. He got a worse exit, so very good lap from Joker. It's a 309, so 279, 279, 309. And it's a 239 for Jaylee, only taking a 10th of a second out of him. Joker in the box seat right now. And we go back to Beetlejuice, and we see he's been doing 38.4, 38.3, 38.4, 38.1, and then 38.1. Beetlejuice is now launching his assault. He's been looking after the tyres. He's decided now it's time to go. The fuel's down. And it looks like he's coming back towards Jaylee with excellent tyre condition. So Jaylee, probably in between stints for sure. Beetlejuice, the closest to the half-hour strategy, has the best shot of getting there. He's got the best tyre condition right now. We see Jaylee there not really gaining through 100R at all. So Joker has more rotation in that setup, but remember, he doesn't have as much straight line. So we see 6.4 there. Actually, no, Jaylee losing in a straight. So the Supra does not have the straight line of the slower AMG, which is surprising. I really thought the Supra would have the straight line. Normally it does, so potentially the BOP changing mid-season may have affected their performance. I'm not sure if the Supra lost power, gained weight, could have even gained power and lost weight. I wouldn't know, because there was a update to the official balance of performance before this FIA season, as there always is. Just as everyone thinks they've figured out what car they want to drive, bam! Here, all the specs have changed, and now you're 2% quicker or slower. But the gap, 6 seconds, 6.0, and Beetlejuice now 3.2. So it's a better lap from Jaylee. So 38.2. It was more so that it was a sloppier lap from Joker with a 38.7. However, he has under 10 litres of fuel left. He's into the red zone there. Front left is crying, please, no more. But he is still 3 minutes away from the pit window he needs to make. So 2 more laps needed from Joker if he wants to take the even tyre strategy, which means Beetlejuice and Jaylee have 2 more laps to try and catch as much of that gap up as possible before they work into the second half of this stint to try and cut a pit stop from this race. Checking on Manos, and he's still 20 seconds down on Beetlejuice. He's lost a bit of ground relative to the leaders. He's doing low 39s, which is not the 38s that his rivals are doing. He had a 37.7, and then it's 39.9, 39.0, 39.1, so potentially realised he doesn't have enough fuel or needs to look after the tyres if he wants to try and go the distance. Not sure, we'll have to ask at some point. Check in with Group, who has upped his advantage. He's done a 38.3 there and a 38.4, so not very far at all off the pace, but just a couple of mistakes, meaning he is 52 seconds down on the leaders, instead of probably between Beetlejuice and Manos, if not for those mistakes, and is 4.6 seconds ahead of MMR Luke Mitchell. But Luke Mitchell will, of course, pit later and have fresh tyres in this stint, so we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. And Joker now losing another half second by the looks on this lap. It's a 38.9. The front left has begun to cliff, and he still needs to do another lap if he wants to get close to the 45-minute mark to make half distance for his pit stop. And it looks like it's fogging over, which I didn't know could happen here at Fuji in the game. Of course, Fuji's notorious for fog in real life, with rain and various things happening. But it's starting to look foggy here, because of course we do have dynamic weather, and dynamic weather can lead to rain. So the darkness of the sky coming from the fact the sun's setting, but it looks like the clouds are darkening, but it's getting foggy, more so than it is beginning to rain. And of course, rain would completely upset the balance of this race and change it. Your incredible dry setup may no longer work in the wet. Your dry lines that you've spent all week trying to figure out how to get right suddenly all goes up in smoke, and you have to rely on your feedback from the ground. Feel the car through the steering wheel. Try not to break into wheel spin. Find where the grip is to get the best way around. Pick the right tyre to be on. So please check your radars if you're listening. And we can see that Joker on this lap hasn't lost as much time, as we see Jaylee actually losing 5/10 there on that right-hander. Wow. So Jaylee either making a mistake, didn't really look like he made a mistake, but making a mistake apparently. And Joker coming to the pits. He's still a couple seconds short, but after the pit stop he will be fine for being at half distance. And a good effort there into the pit lane, nice and aggressive. 5.8 seconds. We'll see what Jaylee has on that lap. Yes, a 39.0, so a really rough lap for him. And we can see Beetlejuice with 38.6. He takes a big chunk of time out of the now leader of Jaylee, but they are still 15 minutes away from being able to take exactly 2 stops and be to make the half-hour stint, which is necessary for a 2-stop race. So they would need roughly half a tank of fuel. They do, but I think they started this stint with less than full tanks though, so they have enough fuel. It's a question of, do they have enough tyre? Are they halfway through the stint on tyre? Jaylee, no chance. He is more than halfway through. He will not make it unless he wants to drive around with no front tyre to try and cut a pit stop. If he does it for a couple laps maybe. Beetlejuice, though, he has half a front tyre. He is only halfway through his stint. So Beetlejuice will come on very strong at the end of this stint and stands a real shot of making it to the 1 hour mark, meaning he will be his final pit stop. And it will mean that Joker, who is 19 seconds back now, will have to run him down. It is looking like 14 seconds are lost in the first part of a pit stop. We'll see how much pit time is lost in the second stint, because of course you appear at pit lane speed, not at racing speed, and still lose more time on the second lap, I believe. But it's only 14 seconds. No, it can't be 14 seconds. He's down 22. So obviously it's more than the 14 seconds lost on lap. On the in lap. 38 to 52 is of course 14. So we'll have to just check in on what that lap time is. Beetlejuice now 2.7 down and starting to burn that front left. He needs to just not look at the gap and just focus on keeping that tyre alive, because the gap will come down if he just has tyre and Jaylee does not. So yeah, it's a 52 and a 53, so you lose 14 seconds on one lap and then 15 on the next, so it's a total of about 30 seconds lost for a pit stop. Which, if I've been paying attention at the gap to P2 from P1, I could have calculated out. But that would be far too logical and sensible. Instead, we'll just try and figure it out with wonky maths and estimations, and Groot still hanging on to his lead in P5 over Luke Mitchell, who's doing another great job, consistent 39s, looking after the car. He is in the best shape of anyone to make it to the 1 hour mark. So Luke Mitchell definitely only one more stop, barring damage and dramas, because I reckon he'll have to pass Groot. Never mind, he won't have to pass Groot. Groot will run out of tyres and have to pit before Luke Mitchell gets to him, I suspect. And the lead now down to 2.5. Jaylee finding himself between strategies. He needs to make a decision here and either shorten his stints or lengthen them and not sort of sit on this in-between strat, unless he plans to take a set of mediums. Now, I don't think the mediums are quick, but we've seen in the past guys have gone when they needed 1.5 stints to the end. They've bolted on a set of mediums, and that's cut out a pit stop. And yeah, the car wasn't necessarily as quick when it was on the mediums, but it was losing 1.5 seconds over 10 laps. And you go, well, it cost them 15 seconds instead of the 30 needed for a pit stop. So it might be worthwhile for them, or it might be the worst thing ever because they can't fire the mediums up. The car isn't good on mediums. It depends what they've done in testing. We've seen that a lot in previous seasons. has now 2.6 between Beetlejuice and Jaylee, and Jaylee's front looking very bad. Beetlejuice starting to look quite worse. He needs to just be more gentle on it instead of pushing here. So his lap times are fantastic, so he just needs to be more gentle on that front left, push it the next 10 minutes instead of chasing after Jaylee on the raw lap time. I mean, look at this, look at the stint. 8.3, 8.4, 8.4, 8.1, 8.5, 8.4, 8.6, 8.8, 8.6. So very consistent from 3 to 8 there. Only in the 3 to 6 for most of them. Only the 38.8 for lap 28 there. So he's doing a great job for consistency, but he just needs to look after that front left a little more and not understeer it, not push the car as hard trying to turn right. You saw that it looked like he had a lot of steering in for not very much rotation, and that's just burning up the tyre as he's trying to catch Jaylee. He just needs to wait and look after the tyre. The advantage he had is looking a lot less in this second half of the second half of the stint. It looked really good in the middle of the stint in terms of how much more tyre he had, and it would come back to him. And I guess not seeing Jaylee come back to him is getting in his head, and he's rushing the corners and he's working harder, and it's just eroding that advantage, and it's going to make getting to the 1 hour mark incredibly difficult for him. As we've crossed halfway at the 45-minute mark, and we still have 40 minutes to run, so it's an interesting strategy position where Joker now 20 seconds off the lead, 38.0 on the previous lap. How fast is this one? It's a 37.9. Not as quick as the leaders have been, but it is most certainly faster than the leaders are going. Beetlejuice with a 38.8, Jaylee with a 38.8. So taking a second out of them on the previous 2 laps. I'm really not sure. I was expecting Beetlejuice to catch up to Jaylee. I was expecting Jaylee not to have any pace on dead tyres, but he will have to drive around on dead tyres if he wants to make 1 less pit stop. He's got the fuel for it, he just doesn't have the tyres. So, oh geez, I'm not sure how I would play this one as Jaylee. I'm not sure how Beetlejuice is going to play it. But both of them are going to come out some 15 seconds behind Joker if they were to pit on this lap. And they would not gain a pit stop back, so, well, if they are 15 seconds ahead, they are half a pit stop ahead. Remember, these guys' pit stop will be longer because they're taking more fuel than Joker did, so they're about half of a pit stop ahead of Joker, and Joker owes 2 pit stops and they owe 1 pit stop. So it's about on par too, as usual with the AequepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. Look all at sea in the middle, the gaps are huge, nothing could ever happen, and then at the end it all closes up, all the strategies unfold, and we find that everyone's on top of each other, fighting to the death with the final lap board showing. It's 2.7 seconds between Beetlejuice and Jaylee. Jaylee doing a really good job. It's a 39.1 on a toasted tyre and a 39.2 for Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice now starting maybe potentially to look after that tyre, or he's running out of confidence and grip with it. I don't know. We can't even ask the drivers because they're a bit busy right now. But Joker ploughing along. It's a 37.6. It's a PB for him. Now only 19 seconds off the lead. Only 16 seconds off Beetlejuice. He's making up 2 seconds a lap, and he's up on himself in Sector 1 already. So Joker now having to push like crazy to try and make the time back. His opponents will get undercut him when they pit, but right now, Joker is very, very fast, and he's got a very light car. Groot brings himself to the lane after 52 minutes. He needs 37 more minutes between now and the finish. He's not going to get that. It's going to be 2 stints for Groot unless he goes to mediums. We'll have to just check in on that. We see Luke Mitchell continuing to soldier on. Front tyres are in great condition. Rear's not so much, but it's only 7.5 more minutes. It's only 5 more laps he needs to get through. We see Groot has taken softs and a lot of fuel, so he's going to do a very short final stint, or he's going to pray for rain. Because I don't think he can do 37 minutes if he hasn't been able to do the laps required until now. Jaylee now 39.1, it's 2.4, it's a 38.8 from Beetlejuice. He decided saving tyres, not worth it. It must have just been a mistake on the previous lap. So it's gone 8.68 and then a mistake and then an 8. So he's still in the 38s, which is only a second slower than AXR with a 37.8. So the gap is coming down at the front. We should check back in on Manos, who is 6.5 minutes away from making it and not very much front tyre, so he's either going to have to drive around on a dead tyre or he's going to have to find a way to get to the finish a lot quicker. I suspect for him the answer is drive around on a dead tyre, and they probably should have gone deeper on that first stint, most of these guys, until they did have a dead tyre. So Beetlejuice running that dead tyre was a great strategy call, because it's just going to buy him a couple laps here where he doesn't have to do it, either now or in the final stint. I suspect these guys were sort of hoping that a lighter car would buy them a lot more tyre wear than it has, because Jaylee is down to a final pixel and he's still 6 minutes away. It's still 4 laps short of where he needs to be, probably 3 with the pace drop off and the pit stop. So he's going to have to find 3 laps of tyre wear somewhere. He might be able to get 1 of them now and then do 2 at the end, but the gap is coming down rapidly to position 2. It's now under 1.4 seconds. It's 1.3 seconds. Oh, and it might go back to 1.4 and then sort of bounces around. Anyway, and he will stay out. He has to stay out. And now it's all Beetlejuice's. However, it's all Beetlejuice's until he runs out of tyre, because they absolutely do cliff when they get into that bottom 10, 15%. The performance loss is huge, but on that previous lap, it's a 40.0 for Jaylee. He's gone from 39.1 to 40.0. Beetlejuice still doing 38s. It's a 38.9. So that's what I was saying with Beetlejuice's degradation being better, and that's 7% for not coming in a lap early. So Jaylee learning the hard way that he had to get closer to half an hour than 2 laps back. So now he's going to drive around on a completely worn front left tyre. Joker has a 37.4. I thought he was digging out there with his 37.8s, but no, 37.4. He is flying along. The gap is down to 14 seconds. Jaylee now about to give Beetlejuice slipstream. Jaylee will have no front left tyre remaining, but he's still 4 minutes away from where he wants to pit. He's going to have to find 2 laps of tyres, either this stint or in the next stint. I think he has to do it now, because he will be under real threat from Beetlejuice, because Beetlejuice won't undercut him. Whoever pits first will come out ahead, and that's what Jaylee needs to do. However, it's not this lap. And Beetlejuice, seeing the massive advantage he has, is not going to come in. He's going to stay out. So Jaylee has to stay out and try and hold Beetlejuice up for 1 more lap, and then do a lap at the end on dead tyres. But no, Jaylee up to the inside, coming in. He's done 1 lap on dead tyres, and he's already had enough of it, as Beetlejuice does a 39.3. So Jaylee is going to be 3.5 minutes short. He needs to do 33 minutes on a set of tyres. He will come out ahead of Beetlejuice. He's got the fuel. They put the fuel in the car to do it. He could have run that whole stint 20 litres lighter, which is 15 kilos. And that might have got him a bit more tyre wear. Wouldn't have run out of tyres the way he has. We see Joker sliding on the exit. Power sliding, aggressively pushing. It's a 37.6 for him. 12 seconds off the lead. He will pit soon, but not too soon. And we'll expect to see the Finnish boys making ground on him. As you see, Manos still got a sliver of front left tyre available to him. He will make it to the end of this lap for sure, but not quite to the 60-minute mark, sorry. But it looks like he's able to make back a lap. He's able to go 1 lap further on this stint than he did in the first one, so he will be able to get to the end. It'll have to be a slightly longer final stint than he would have liked, in the region of 32 minutes, but it's a lot better than trying to make it do 33.5, as we're seeing with Jaylee, who's already taken a second out of him. Jaylee's going hard. He knows he wants to come out ahead. And Beetlejuice still has front tyre. He's got to go another lap here, and that makes his final stint a lot better. It means he'll have better tyre condition than Jaylee. He will then be able to pass Jaylee on that last stint very late, as Jaylee runs out of front tyre. But the man chasing him down, Joker, is now only 10 seconds down. He's taken out 5 seconds in the last few laps, and now it's cliffed for Beetlejuice. He's done the first 140. You can see he was running 38, so then it's 139, and then it's immediately straight into the 40s. And it's cost him 2 seconds, I think, on this lap alone. Yep, 38.3 plays 1 minute 40.2. It's cost him 2 seconds. So he's going to lose another 2 seconds on this lap, but he will come out with a very quick race car and a very short stint to the finish. It will be just over 30 minutes, which is perfect for him. A nice, comfy 18-lap stint home. He'll have enough, and now he's out of front tyre. He will have a much better chance of taking the win here for the Scuderia Stosilla Umili team. Stossi Racing. They were defending champions from Season 2, but Joker is still catching. He's going to have great pace. This is probably, I think, the biggest undercut he gets on the finish, guys, because of the way the tyres are playing out. And we see Luke Mitchell coming in a lap earlier than he'd like, but it's 59 minutes and 20 seconds. So give him a pit stop worth of waiting, and he'll come out with practically an hour to go. Sorry, an hour. Practically on the hour with half an hour to go, so it's perfectly on target for him. Just running out of tyres at the perfect moment. So Beetlejuice now 8.7 seconds, 8.6 seconds. So it's 8.5 seconds between Joker and Beetlejuice for position 1. So he took about a second and a half out of him. What's the lap time from Joker? It's an 8.2, so we can expect to have been another low 40, I guess, for Beetlejuice. Jaylee will come flying past. He will be miles ahead of Beetlejuice, but he is 2 laps into a stint that he needed to not be 2 laps into. We see Manos coming in. He's made it to the hour. Ooh, looked like he hit the wall there, but it might have been latency. He's got away with it. He hasn't been reset, so it's A-OK for the THG man. He will have a nice comfy stint home to the flag. It'll only be 17 laps for him. It'll be a shorter one than he's just done. Excellent work. And we see that Jaylee is 4.5 seconds up the road from Beetlejuice. They were on top of each other when they pitted 2 laps ago. And now it's a 4.5 second lead. However, Jaylee's going to have to find a way to look after that front left to try and get it home. And if he doesn't get it home, he's going to have to take a late pit stop and then be chasing down the guys in front. So he's now 16 seconds behind Joker. He's going to have to try and erode as much of that gap as possible, because now it is Joker who is being attacked with his worn tyres versus the fresh tyres of the Finns behind him. However, with 25 litres of fuel on board, it will only be another 5 or 6 laps before he comes in again for his final stop, leaving the final 20 or so minutes in the race. And he'll be attacking the very, very worn tyres of the guys in front of him. So, yeah, this race is very much up in the air. 38.4, he's already lost a second to himself in terms of personal best time, but 38.3, 38.2, 38.4 suggests that he's just managing the pace on this low fuel with the worn tyres more so than he is trying for every single best corner he can do, because when you try for that kind of racing style, you end up making mistakes and costing yourself more net time than you otherwise would have. And Jelly now, half a second up. I reckon Beetlejuice is just looking after the tyres, bring him in nice and gently, because any amount of wear you save at the start of the stint is worth twice as much as tyre you save at the end of the stint, because it gives you more grip for the entire stint, which means looking after the tyre is easier because it's not as worn. You're not asking as much of the grip capacity when it's got more grip in it, because you're not sliding it as aggressively. It's so much easier to look after a tyre if you've already looked after it, rather than getting to the end of a stint going, oh, I need a little bit more front tyre life, because the tyre's already gone. Worth noting, even though these are GT3 cars, the wind direction still plays a role on car balance, and the wind has turned around 180 degrees. It was coming from the south, I believe, at the start of this race, and it is now coming directly from the north. So we are once again in a Gran Turismo patented tornado for wind, where it can't stay coming from the same direction for more than an hour. That would be ludicrous. Wind directions are always spinning around and changing direction. That's definitely a thing. Anyway, could be that means weather is on the way. It could mean weather is not on the way, because the way weather works in this game is not exactly known. It's a bit mythical, in terms of the same way it was in Gran Turismo 6, where people had theories but no one knew for sure. discussions of seeds and things like that for how weather is generated. Still looking clear enough, but foggy ultimately. Standard Fuji experience. It's now 5.3 as Jaylee does. He hasn't let the timing alight here, actually. He hasn't done 37s. He's doing 38s. It's a 38.5 and a 38.2 after a 39.0. So he's making ground on Joker, but he's not really running Joker down. I wonder if this is his attempt to save tyres, to try and get to the end. He has a 5-second lead because of that undercut, but he has to find 2 laps worth of tyre wear, or he has to drive around on completely destroyed tyres. He will have 15 seconds in hand, I believe, over Joker, because Joker's pit stop cost him about 30 seconds or so. So he will have 15 seconds in hand when Joker pits. Joker cannot be too far away from the pit stop. I think it's 1 or 2 laps. And then he will be on the attack for the final stint of the race, and of course the final stint of season 3 of AequepaX Racing's GT World Endurance Championship. The overall championship has been sewn up by the Speedbot car, but we are here fighting for victory. Potentially first time victory for Joker, first time victory for Beetlejuice, first time victory for Manos, who's now only 27 seconds off the lead, so he's not quite had the pace to hang on to the leaders, but he has the strategy to hang on to them. So even if an extra pit stop was required by Jaylee, he would still end up ahead of Manos. So that early mistake costing Manos, he'd probably be 10 seconds back in no man's land, to be honest, but it would be in a position where if someone did need to run an extra pit stop or run around on dead tyres, he would be within shouting distance. He'd also be right on top of where Joker comes out after his pit stop, although Joker would probably pass him based on the tyre wear difference with fresh tyres, but he'd be in that top 4 fight, potentially able to steal a podium, which is a very great effort considering I believe they put that entry together 6-7 hours ago to come race in the final round of the championship to try and fill the grid here a little bit as returning champions, long-time members of the AequepaX Racing community. But I believe they had a different series that clashed with most rounds, so they were unable to field a season entry, but able to show up today for the final round here from Fuji Speedway. And Beetlejuice still 5 seconds down. Joker 14.6. Jaylee needs to just keep looking after that. He did 38.2 there, but I think he needs to do more of these 38s by just steering gently, looking after that front left. Finding a way to burn the rears, potentially +5 brake bias, something like that. Use the grip when he's got it without actually burning the tyre up. Joker goes again, it's a 39.0. He's now almost out of tyre. He's into the red on fuel. And I believe if he wants to do 22.5 minutes, he's still 2 minutes away from that. But I'd probably bring it in and let the pit stop take up the 30 seconds that I need it to take up, so that when I exit the pits, I'm perfectly on strategy. It's down to 14 seconds. It's a 37.8 there from Jaylee. I don't think he was listening to me when I said he needs to be saving tyres. He decided, no, I want a fast lap. I don't like losing ground to the guys around me. And it's now 5.5 seconds to Beetlejuice, who does a 38.2. Beetlejuice is probably my pick to win this one, because I suspect Jaylee will run out of tyre. And if Jaylee cannot run out of tyre, he will win this race. Assuming Joker doesn't catch both of them, because Joker very much will be in this race after he pits. Right now it's 15 seconds to Jaylee and 20 to Beetlejuice, which means it will be 15 to Jaylee and 10 to Beetlejuice, with 22.5 minutes, which is 14 laps to go. So he'll have 14 or 15 laps to try and make up 15 seconds, which is only 1 second per lap. And we saw in the previous stint he was taking 2 seconds lap at the end of their stints, so it's very possible he's going to have to work hard for it, but it's very much an option for him. Does he box now? Does he go one more lap? It looks like Joker's going one more lap. He's decided he's got a bit of tyre, he's got a bit of fuel, he may as well use it. Will that be one of the deciding factors, going 1 lap extra here? It's at 39.5, it's not a good lap for him. That's very costly on tyre. He probably could have got away with boxing this lap. As we see his rivals, Jaylee does a 37.7 on that lap. I don't know if he's looking for fastest lap. There is a point available for fastest lap, but I think he should be focusing on the win more than anything. Unless they've decided, nah, the tyre wear isn't good enough, I need to just push hard and go fast, and then take another set of tyres at the end, and whatever happens, happens. Because he will have a shorter fill time. He will have 50 less litres basically to put in than Joker, so he can gain 5 seconds there if he does come in again, not having to fuel, basically. So he would be 7 seconds down. He could almost pit again a lap or two after Joker, and then have a 7-second gap to try and run down, because he's still fast right now. So he can push on this set of tyres, do 37s, and once it falls back into 38s, he can come back in, bolt fresh tyres on the thing with very low fuel, and have a real big attack on Joker if that is what is needed. Because Beetlejuice doing low 38s, looking after the tyre. He's got more of it. He needs a lot more of it, but this is what the whole GT World Endurance Championship has been. Season 2, 1, 2, and 3, it's been races that look really wide open until the last 5 laps when they finally sort themselves out, where you have to sort of suffer a little bit through the middle, where guys are by themselves but driving as fast as they can, trying to take as much potential out of their strategy as they possibly can. Because at the very end of the race, it all comes together. It all shakes out as we see who ends up where. And it's down to 11 seconds for Jaylee. It's going to be a huge lead for him, because it's basically 16 seconds for Beetlejuice. See what happens here. I'm assuming it is half a tank of fuel on another set of softs for Joker. But he only needs to do 20 more minutes. So that is going to be 13 laps, maybe 14. I'm not sure, but he comes out a long way ahead of Manos, although that 46 seconds is going to come down a lot very quickly. We're going to actually get a read on how much he's lost instead of having to try and do maths. It's 46 down to 2019. So it's only 26 seconds. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, we'll check back in, and it is 10 seconds up the road to Beetlejuice, 15 seconds up the road to Jaylee. He's got the freshest tyres on the grid. It is time to go for Joker. It is all-out attack mode. He has 19 minutes left. Each lap is about 138, 139, so that is 98 seconds. We are not far away from being 10 laps from home, as we see Groot coming in. He's made another mistake on that previous lap somewhere, and he's in for what I believe is his final pit stop, barring any damage, any dramas. He'll have to chase down MMR Luke Mitchell if he wants to take P5 from him. Quick drink of fuel, and away he goes. And the gap between them is only 5 seconds. Might be 6 by the time they shake out of turn 1. But he has much fresher tyres, so Groot has a huge opportunity to beat Mitchell. After their fight in race 1, went down to the wire, down to the last lap, where Groot almost had it won, with Luke Mitchell picking up a penalty on the final lap. It was a 1-second penalty for track limits. And then in the final sector, with 2 corners remaining, Groot's got a little wiggle on. The car's slid out from underneath him, and he has lost the back end and was up against, almost against the wall, had to back out of it, and ended up losing the position to Mitchell, even with his penalty. So, dramatic scenes at the end of the first stint, but we are waiting now for dramatic scenes at the end here of the second stint, of the final round for Season 3 of the AequepaX Racing's GT World Endurance Championship. See there, Jaylee, not quite using full brake pressure there. I'm not sure if that's just he's got his pedal calibrated a little too stiff, or he's actively doing that, trying to reduce the locking, reduce the front tyre wear. You'd say he's in much better condition on tyres than he was in the previous stint, because last time when we hit the halfway point, the 45-minute mark, which is supposedly the halfway point between the 30 and 60 minutes of the between the first and second pit stop. Bloody hell, my brain is just shutting down right now. He was well below half on front tyres. Here we can see in another lap, he will be at the halfway point, or just short of it. And it's about halfway on tyres. He's probably going to be, he's a fraction ahead, I'd say, right now. By the end of the next lap, maybe not. And after those 37s, And then 38.1s, he's gone back into the mid-38s, so potentially looking after the tyre again. Maybe an attempt with those 37s to try and snipe fastest lap. And I'm not sure why he would need to. You just need to focus on looking after the tyre and getting into this race, because if he has the same amount of tyre as Beetlejuice at the end, because he's looking after it, Beetlejuice won't be able to beat him. He's only going to lose to Beetlejuice if he runs out of front left tyre, because then the gap comes down very quickly. Then you can make a pass practically anywhere you want as Beetlejuice. We see Beetlejuice has done his own personal best lap at 37.8, and it's back into the low 38s, so I'd say he's pushing as hard as he was in the previous stint because he's got the tyre wear in hand to make it happen. And things look grim right now for Joker. He's come out 15 seconds off the lead, 10 seconds off the guy in front, and in the last couple of laps he's only taken half a second out of them. But he has incredibly good tyre quality. The guys in front of him will begin to start hurting now. They've got through that period where the fuel's coming off, but the tyres are still okay too now. The fuel's coming off, but the tyres are not okay, and then the tyres are going to be very unhappy when they have low fuel. So Joker's gains will be bigger later, and if they're big now, then he's got this as a shoe-in. So luckily for us, the gains are not big just yet, but we still have another 15 minutes to go. And it looks like Charlie has half a tyre left, which is exactly what he needs. Doesn't matter if he gives up time. He's got 5 seconds in hand. He can afford to give up in the final 10, maybe 9 laps. I think it's 10. It's very tight, actually. I think this is... this actually may change who wins and loses based on how that plays out, because if they're doing 15 minutes to go, that is 900 seconds. And if they're doing 99-second laps, that is very, very close to doing 9 laps or 10. Because of course 99-second lap times by 10 is 990, so times it by 9 and it's 881, I think, seconds instead of 900, and they're 19 seconds ahead. So I think all 3 of these guys will get a 10th lap, which is great news for Joker. It's terrible news for Jaylee and Beetlejuice. But my point was, before I got completely distracted by the maths of it all, if there's 10 laps remaining, he can afford to give up half a second per lap and still lead this thing across the line. So just, for safety reasons, give up 4/10 of a second a lap looking after the tyre. Gives you a nice little buffer of a second, and then you'll be able to hang on the final lap, assuming you still have tyre left because you managed to save the tyre. So Joker now 12.8. He's gained 2 seconds on this one, so potentially fuel for Jaylee, actually, because he suddenly lost a lot of time. So not enough fuel, maybe? He's got to do 10 laps on 40-ish litres of fuel. That would explain why he's suddenly going very slowly. Not very slow, mid-38s. It's not that bad. I lie. I've sucked myself in. It's because Beetlejuice did 38.0 and I wasn't ready for it. And Joker's doing 37s, mid-low 37s. It's going to be a fast one. Yeah, it's a 37.3. So Joker on low fuel, coolest track temp, the most dialed in you're going to be all day, with a 37.3, taking big chunks out of the leaders. He has taken the gap out of Beetlejuice and Jaylee in equal proportion. So it was 10 and 15. It's now 8 and 12. So the gap's come down 2 and 3 seconds with 13 minutes remaining. Manos quite safe there right now, running solid pace, not quite leader pace, but solid pace. He's got enough fuel by a mile and probably enough tyre to get to home. As we see Luke Mitchell now with a 5/10 penalty for track limiting, probably at Coca-Cola. It's always Coca-Cola. And he's only 3 seconds ahead of Groot. Groot with really fresh tyres, he's got the fuel, and with that penalty it'll come down to 2 seconds, so the fight for 5th is no way over. No way? Wow. Far from over, no way done just yet. No certainty in this fight. We saw last time Groot cracked under the pressure. Can he hold it together this time? That 5/10 penalty is going to cost him more than a second here. It almost will be just about over for it. It's just about down to 1 second by the end of this straight, because it's such a punishing place to take a penalty at the start of a 1.5 kilometre straight. So penalties are very, very punishing here today. Check out with Jaylee, it's a 38.6. It's a 38.0 for Beetlejuice. but it's another 37.8 there for Joker. It looked good. I had to sort of second guess myself, but now exactly 8 seconds between first and second. Sorry, between second and third, and just under 4 seconds between first and second. So Jaylee's front tyre is in much better condition than it was last time. He's reduced the gap in deficit, reduced the deficit between himself and Beetlejuice, despite coming in 2 laps earlier. However, he doesn't have as much fuel, and it's by a lot. However, is that enough fuel? We'll check with Joker. It's less than Joker, so he's going to have to find some fuel and look after the tyres and try and hold on to this lead. And Joker just has to go flat out. Beetlejuice has to go as fast as he dare, and while looking after that tyre, because of course catching Jaylee is one thing. He still has to pass him, and then maybe have to fend off Joker. If he doesn't get past Jaylee, he may get stuck there, and then all 3 of them will be fighting on the last lap for the win. Reminder, it's for the win. We're not looking at a Speedbox car because it's so far in the distance. We're not looking at a Speedbox car because it's not here. We are seeing a fight for the victory between the Racing Team Finlanders with Jaylee, between Scuderia Stossi Umili with Beetlejuice, and between AequepaX Racing's own AXR Joker. 10 minutes remain. That is 6 laps to go, I believe. I could be wrong. Might be 7. We'll find out later. And now Jaylee crosses the line. It's a 38.5, another mid-38. So looking after the fuel, looking after the tyres. He's got 3.5 seconds. He's got just enough gap for that kind of loss, as it's a 38.2 for Beetlejuice. And now we check in on Joker. It is a 1:37.8, another one of those. So quickest man on track is the man in 3rd place. Groot has got by Luke Mitchell. Sorry, Groot, I missed that one, and Mitchell's got another penalty. So well done to Groot. He sets his best lap, a 37.8 after a 38.0, a flying lap from Groot. Nothing to lose. He's giving it the berries right now. That's a great lap time from him. He's probably wishing he'd done that in the first couple of stints, though. But anyway, he's also 1/10 purple on Joker right now. I'm staying with Groot. Never mind, I shouldn't have stayed with Groot. He immediately got a tank slapper after being 1/10 up at the Sector 2 point. Groot pushing for fastest lap. And then misses the apex. Never mind, I put too much pressure on him. And Beetlejuice made up 5/10 on this lap. It's now under 3 seconds to the lead and under 10 seconds to 3rd place. Never mind, it's on 10 seconds. Now it's under 10 seconds. Eventually I'll get things right first go. But you'd say Beetlejuice has got closer to Jaylee than Joker has got closer to Jaylee in terms of their proportions when it was 10 and 15 after Joker's last stop. Still looks quite clear. It's actually cleared up. I think it's less foggy now. So less cloud, I guess. Excuse me. Yeah, front tyre life very similar. Rear tyre life very similar. So Jaylee's found out how to burn the left rear to give him better balance to look after the front. Sorry, yeah, burning the left rear more, or he's looking after the front left more. And it's a 39.2 for Jaylee. So he's fallen off the first cliff. The first cliff gets you out of the 38s into the 39s, then the second cliff pushes you straight into the 40s, because it's a 38.5 for Beetlejuice, and it's a 37.5 for Joker. Wow, it's coming down. 8 minutes remaining. Which suggests that's over 5 laps. So it's going to be 6 from the previous lap, so 5 when we cross. And Luke Mitchell and Groot will end up probably having to get out of the... Well, Groot won't, he's going very quickly. Mitchell might have to get out of the way for traffic reasons, with the leaders chasing him down. Jaylee still doggedly hanging on here. 7.5 minutes. You suggest that's the 5 laps to go when they cross this time by, unless the pace drops out significantly. Can the Racing Team Finlanders, man, hang on for another incredible victory, taking less stops than the faster opponent, which is of course Joker here today. It was SBM Excellent at St. Croix, or St. Croix, St. Croix, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I'm pretty sure the French say it pronounces as Croix, but I don't know how to pronounce that properly because I'm from Australia, not from Europe. And we butcher the English language like no other country does. All these vowels, nah, they don't exist. It's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne. MLBN, Melbourne. 38.4 for Jaylee, though. He's found a good chunk of time on that lap, so maybe it was just a mistake. He's asking a lot of that very worn tyre. I suspect in the next lap or two, he'll find himself in those 39s, struggling for grip, and it's 38.5 for Beetlejuice. He actually didn't gain on that lap. 37.8 for Joker. It's 6 seconds between second and third. It's 9 seconds, under 9 seconds between first and third. He is so close yet so far with 5 laps remaining. He needs nearly 2 seconds left. This is the most 37s we've seen from anyone in a row. 7.8, 7.6, 7.3, 7.8, 7.8, 7.5, 7.8. He's hanging on in there. That's the pace he needs to be doing if he wants to win this race, because it's not about getting to his opponents before the final lap. It's whether or not they have any tyre left on that final lap for Joker to try and make the assault back. Because you'd say right now he's too far, but when those guys cliff, we'll have to wait and see. As Frequency chimes in the chat, saying that it was a real shame that the Stosilov team, the STS boys, were unable to attend today to finish out the final season of the finale of the season 3 here from AequepaX Racing. 8 seconds now. It's 2.5 at the front still. Jaylee is doing the thing where he starts pushing and you can't understand why you're not catching him, because how can he have any tyre left? And it's another 38.7. What's Beetlejuice got? It's a 38.5. He's barely nicked into him. Their front tyres are all but identical. Jaylee's figured it out. This is what Jaylee has been doing all season long. He's been going longer than anyone else thought was possible. But he was doing it from stint 1. Here today, he's had to figure it out stint by stint. Stint 1 wasn't that long. Stint 2 was kind of long. And now stint 3, he's found himself the best tyre wear. He has managed to overcome a 2-lap deficit, overcome the fact that he was wearing tyres out more to somehow get himself back on par with the AMG behind him with 4.5 minutes remaining. But he's picked up a 5/10 penalty. It's huge. Oh no, that's going to ruin his attempt here. His 2.2 second lead will be practically nothing going down to turn 1 with 4 laps remaining. This is a huge turn of events. So it'll be 4 laps, 4 minutes remaining. It will be 3 laps to go when they cross the line. Oh, that's huge. That's massive. The lead is going to be practically nothing. It will be a straight fight on track between first and second. We see Mitchell getting completely out of the way of the leaders, so not affecting them at all. 3 laps to go here. It's got to be more than 2, because they will be doing 1 minute 40s even. And he pulls over to the right to serve his penalty. And we'll see, it was 1.9, but it's going to come down to slipstream range for sure. It's 1 second, it's under 1 second. That was a very costly mistake from Jaylee. He's given up a lot of time. He doesn't know it yet, but he has the same amount of tyre as Beetlejuice, if not a tiny bit more, and a tiny bit more rear, but the front right is far worse. So the advantage Beetlejuice has isn't in the right-handers where you'd expect with that front left, it's in the left-handers where the front right has got far more life on it, because Jaylee has been abusing those left-handers to keep the pace up without hurting the tyre on the left-hand side, because that's the critical tyre. It's 1.1 seconds. With 3 laps to go, they will cross with probably 20 seconds in hand on that final lap, which means I believe Joker will also join the party. He's only 4.5 seconds behind Beetlejuice. It's 5 seconds off the lead. It is going to be very tight. He's fallen back into the low 38s, but it's not like it's cliffed. It's just losing performance nice and gently. Oh, this is fantastic stuff here for the final round for Season 3. This is the way we want the final stint of the final race to go. Oh, love it. This is the kind of stuff that makes you completely hyped up for the next season, because you're like, oh, let's do that again. That was fantastic fun. It's under a second, but it goes straight back out over a second. So Beetlejuice taking a narrow line in the final corner, but not getting the exit. Let's have a look at the times. There's under 10 litres left, and he needs to do 2 more laps. I'd say Jaylee's good on fuel now, but it's a 39.3. That's the first cliff, and it's a 39.1 for Beetlejuice. They've both hit the first cliff that pulls them out of the 38s into the 39s. Joker, it's a 38.2. He will now pull more than a second on this lap and more than a second on the next. It's 5 seconds down. He needs to take up 2.5 seconds per lap, but these boys are about to hit the no-tyre cliff. So it doesn't look good for Joker, but it's allowed to look a lot better as he will run them down very aggressively because they'll do 40s in the next lap. And I think it's a 41 or a 42 if you start a lap with no tyre. And looking at Beetlejuice, you'd say he is not far from running out of tyre, but he's not going to stop. He's going to keep attacking with every part of his ability because he knows that Jaylee has to have as bad, if not worse, tyres. He's not aware that the fact that Jaylee has a slightly better front left tyre, tiny advantage, but the advantage Beetlejuice has is when they're turning left. He's got a huge grip advantage on the right-hand side of his car. And that's where he's going to have to make the advantage, which is going to set him up really nicely for the final corner. But 1 lap remains at the end of this one. Joker, 3 seconds back from touching this fight. He's going to be just out of range until the cliff comes, and come it will. Beetlejuice about to run out of time. I don't think he'll get through the final lap without it dropping off. And yeah, you can see the performance loss is huge. He lost 3/10 there in the last corner because he didn't have as much front tyre as he would have hoped. There we go, he lost 5/10 to Joker. Joker is 2.5 seconds down, and that's exactly what he needed to be. As we hit the final lap, it's a 39.5, it's a 39.3. Joker's probably got the best chance of second place. I don't know if he's going to get first. Jay will have to make a mistake, and we've already seen he took that massive 5/10 penalty. Oh, I heard squealing, and it concerned me greatly. So Beetlejuice, he's run out of tyre. He's pushed too hard. Can he hang on to second place? It's going to run out here in the 100R corner. Oh, sorry, as we missed Luke Mitchell finishing after taking a pit stop and putting a PB of 38.9. Manos is also going to finish his race. Unfortunately, it'll be a lap down on the score sheet, but it was only 34 seconds behind Joker. And Joker is only 3.4 seconds off the lead. Can Beetlejuice hang on? It's 1.6 seconds coming into the final sector, but he is out of front left tyre. Oh, Jaylee's going to be out of front left tyre on the final corner. So Jaylee's done a fantastic job managing fuel, managing tyres, turning a 33-minute stint into a race-winning 33-minute stint. Unless anything can happen here in the final sector. It looks good for Beetlejuice right now, but remember, the final corner is a long right-hander. It's 180 degrees. It's under 9/10. Joker making ground corner after corner. He attacks the left-hander. Of course, Beetlejuice is not going to be as weak there. Here, it's his last chance. Can he get in? Can he get the run and get the slipstream? It looks great for Beetlejuice, but it doesn't turn very well on the exit. It's a great run from Joker, but it's 6/10 back. It's not going to be enough to the line, but it is Jaylee for Racing Team Finlanders taking the win by 1.4 seconds. Beetlejuice for the Scuderia Stossi Umili team. Second place, 1.4 seconds back. Only 0.48 away from AXR Joker, who took an extra pit stop compared to the guys in front. 2 seconds from first to third. What a fantastic race. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. That is how you have a season finale, ladies and gentlemen. Drama to the last. Final lap fight on the first stint. And a 3-way battle for the win here in the second stint for Fuji. Oops, I've gone to spectate by default. The results. Jaylee for Racing Team Finlanders in the GR Supra with a 37.5 personal best lap is able to steal the win away from Beetlejuice in the Scuderia Stossi Umili team. 1.4 seconds back with a 37.8 personal best lap. AXR Joker, well, he took one extra pit stop and almost got there. He needed one more lap to get both of the guys in front of him because they were completely out of tyres after 90 minutes of racing. His best lap, the best lap of the stint, 37.3. He gets a point for that. Fourth place, he was only 30 seconds down, but the score sheet will say a lap because of the way the endurance race format works. It's THG Manos 1, a fantastic effort for a late entrant. A 37.7 goes to him. Fifth place, not sure how far behind Manos he was. It's AXR Group, also 1 lap down. with a 37.8, so very quick lap times from the top 5 there. Groot actually quicker than Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice a more consistent run. Third, so finally there we've got 6th place, Luke Mitchell in the V12 Vantage, 2 laps down with a late pit stop because it wasn't going to have it on tyres, and it cost him a lap there relative to Groot, who he was battling for position prior to that. And finally, with a disconnect, it was Evil Dragon in the FTR Full Throttle Racing AMG 39.1. He didn't really get the opportunity to run a low fuel on a fresh tyre low fuel run, so his best lap was not representative of the pace he had, unfortunately. But thank you all so very much for joining me. This was Round 7, the season finale for Season 3 of AequepaX Racing's GT World Endurance Championship. Thank you so very much to AXR Groot and the team at AequepaX Racing behind the scenes for making this season happen. Thank you to the THG guys, to Luke Mitchell, to the Racing Team Finlanders, to Scuderia Stossi Umili, to, who I missed, the Full Throttle Racing, to the Speedbots Motorsport Cars, to Scuderia Chiara, to Herman Motorsports, to all the guys who have made this season so entertaining. A couple of guys aren't here right now, and I'm sure I've forgotten a few others. But all the drivers and teams who put in the effort to show up and make these races absolutely fantastic. The organising in the background, even to the streamers, Noir in Stint 1, unable to make a few rounds, so they didn't commit to a championship, but we've had a lot of great streaming action. And thank you all, the viewers, for watching. We enjoy putting on the show. We enjoy that you enjoy the show. So thank you all so much. And we will see you next time, whatever that may be, for AequepaX Racing and the GT World Endurance Championship. I've been your host, Stiggs TC. Catch you all later.